What a great year so far for Auburn Athletics. Want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang. Once again, it's Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, where we're talking about Auburn like it's nobody's business. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and also subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn as we talk about Auburn like it is nobody's business. Man, the success, within the Auburn athletic department has been just phenomenal. When you look at 2018, 2019 has just been absolutely spectacular for the Auburn Tigers. Starting back, you got the Equestrian squad who, now this Equestrian is not sanctioned by the NCAA, but Auburn has been successful in this particular sport. 5 national titles, including yet another one this year. Auburn is just very, very, very skilled at this particular sport. Very interesting sport, by the way. When we also look at the Auburn Tigers football team, obviously going into the Music City Bowl with a 7-5 record, facing a Purdue team that I feel, thought they had actually had a chance to beat Auburn, especially having some close games in the Big Ten, beating Ohio State pretty soundly during the regular season. It was reason to believe that Purdue should have thought or had the perception that they would possibly have some success against the Auburn Tigers. Now, I will say this, before Gus Malzahn decides to start calling plays, if it was still the Chip Lindsey, Gus Malzahn musical chair show, then maybe Purdue possibly had a viable reason to believe that they would win this football game. But when I actually did a video, during my beginning stages of YouTube, where I actually previewed this game, and because of the fact that Gus Malzahn was calling plays, I knew Purdue didn't have a chance. Absolutely did not have a chance, and it turned out to be so. You talk about the Music City Bowl against Purdue, setting of all bowls that have ever been played, no one has ever scored 56 points in one half before, en route to a 63-14 win for the Auburn Tigers, really setting the tone for the spring sports for the Auburn Tigers and what was to come. Auburn also winning this game gave some life to the football program, which had just had a very, very rough 2018 campaign for the Auburn Tigers, really pretty much starting after the loss to LSU. I'm going to do a video on that pretty soon. Pretty much after the loss to LSU, Auburn, the intensity of the football output just, really, really went down after that. But we're able to keep it together with an interception by Noah Igbenogany in the Texas A&M game, giving some life late to the Auburn Tigers, even going into the Georgia game ranked in the top 20, having a pretty abysmal second half over in Athens en route to a 27-10 loss. Of course, the second half debacle at Alabama, but capping off the season with a huge victory over Big Ten Purdue in the Music City Bowl. We also can't go, when we talk about the success of the Auburn Tigers this past spring, we have to give some credit to the Auburn women's basketball team coached by Terry Williams-Flanoy, who was assistant coach for USA Women's Gold Medal Achievement in 2011. They were basically coming off of a disappointing 2017-2018 season campaign. They got things together to navigate the Auburn. Actually did okay in the SEC tournament as well, to navigate the Tigers to the national tournament, however, losing the ball game to BYU 72-63. And probably one of the most monumental feats in Auburn athletic history was this past year's Bruce Pearl Auburn University basketball team. Now, I did a video on this particular basketball team. I think it was like the middle of February, where I talked about how this was kind of a crossroad period. Last year in Auburn's SEC champion, they were actually outright SEC champions in 2018. But I'm talking about was holding on, falling apart literally by the seams, only to be embarrassed by Clemson in the national tournament. But it appears they went in the direct opposite. Well, it doesn't appear, they actually did go in the direct opposite type of fate. As starting with the Georgia game, I'm talking about an unreasonable streak all the way to the Final Four, only to lose the game late. Three free throws. Very questionable call at the end of the game, but such a miraculous, such a monumental moment for Auburn Athletics. You talk about a SEC tournament champions. 2 years in a row that Auburn basketball won the SEC championship in some form or fashion via whether it's regular season or the tournament champions. Big shout out to the Auburn Tigers basketball team and really, really adding some magic to this past spring. I mean, because most of us, before all of this started, we were kind of gearing up for spring football. But out of nowhere, the Auburn basketball team came storming. I mean, they were blazing hot this past spring. SEC tournament champions, representing the SEC in the Final Four for the first time in school history. Huge deal for the Auburn Tigers, War Eagle. And last but not least, we got to talk about the Auburn baseball team, who recently just really took the baseball world by storm, especially here recent, with scoring 13 points in the first inning. Kind of reminds me of when you look at Auburn and Purdue, football racking up all of those points. I was actually looking at I was at work at the time, and I was looking at the podcast. I mean, not the podcast, but I was looking at the Gamecast on ESPN, and I'm thinking to myself, are these guys really up 13-0? I mean, how? I actually had to go back and look at it to believe it. But sure enough, up 13-0, hung on to win the ball game in the College World Series for the first time since 1997. We just got to really, really dive into this. The fact that Auburn Athletics have been absolutely phenomenal this year, hopefully a sign of things to come. Auburn is facing Oregon, will be on the national spotlight once again in the Avocare Classic, taking on the Oregon Ducks, who also have aspirations of their own. But until then, we will enjoy the recent success of the Auburn Tigers as a circumference athletically. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speak Sports. We're talking Auburn football and sports like it's nobody's business. Go ahead and like this video, comment, and also subscribe to the channel, War Eagle.